Statements by members, déclaration de députés. The honourable member for Vancouver East.
After decades of advocacy, caregivers' dream for landed status on arrival finally came with the Canada's Home Care Worker Immigration Pilot. But the pilot never opened for intake and has been closed without any explanation. This is a betrayal to the people who fought so hard for respect and fairness. Meanwhile, the PR processing backlog for caregivers already in Canada stands at over 34,000 cases. Instead of expediting the processing, the allotted PR quota for all economic pilot programs, including caregivers under the new levels plan, is being reduced. It'll take over 7 years to process the backlog. That means tens and thousands of caregivers already in Canada, caring for our children, elders, doing this essential and often undervalued work, are left in limbo. Caregivers should not be treated as second class or a footnote in Canada's immigration policy. The Liberals must expand the allocation for caregivers, clear the backlog, and give those workers the dignity they deserve.
Oh, what the hell?
L'honorable député de Bourassa.
The honourable member from Bourassa.
Already having small tech issues in the House. That's great.
Today, I rise to speak of a moment, of a novel rather, that is very moving and makes you think. I'm speaking of the novel The Shadow of Your Light, L'ombre de tes lumières, by the author Kamal Ben-Kiran. With very simple writing, but also deeply vibrant, Ben-Kiran plunges us into a story of love, resilience, and identity. He speaks of families, communities, and the fragile links that keep us together. He speaks about the fact that we need to respect memory, the memory of our communities, while also looking to the future. This novel invites us to build a stronger, more inclusive society in a Canada that is proud of its diversity, but that knows that we still have some way to go. This novel is not just a literary work, it is also a call to understand each other better and to celebrate what is born when the shadows meet the light. Thank you.
The honourable member for Regina Louvain.
From November 24th to 29th, the country comes to town as Regina hosts the 54th annual Canadian Western Agribition. Come out and enjoy great food, the largest livestock show in Canada, 4 nights of electrifying rodeo, the trade fair, and the best beef show on the continent. Whatever you fancy, Agribition has something for everyone. Agribition is about community, our Western way of life, and is the ultimate spot to be next week. This show holds a special place in my heart. Our family winter vacations was showing our dairy cattle at Agribition, and so I'm happy I can take my kids through the same barns and tell them stories about cattle shows and life lessons learned on the farm, and even let them help out in the wash rack with some animals every now and then. So mark your calendars and come out to the Canadian Western Agribition. Grab some food, ride the mechanical bull, and see who's crowned Supreme Champion at this year's beef show. With participants from around the globe, it's where the world meets. From the riders' big win last week to Agribition this week, Saskatchewan just keeps winning.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Brampton South.
Mr. Speaker, November is Diabetes Awareness Month. It is a time to reflect on the millions of Canadians who are living with the diabetes. Last week, I hosted my 5th annual diabetes flag raising in Brampton City Hall. I also represented Canada at the PDGN Global Advocacy Forum on Diabetes, showcasing Canada's leadership in diabetes in global health. Mr. Speaker, universal access to diabetes care is very, very important. Progress is made after the passing of my private member bill to establish the National Framework for Diabetes in 2021. But there's more to do. We need to ensure all provinces and territories join the National Pharmacare Plan to make essential medication, diabetes medication, free. Together, let's continue working hard to extinguish the flame burning outside the Frederick Banting House and achieve a world free of diabetes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sudbury East, Manitoulin Nickel Belt.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to pay tribute to Ron Bradley, a remarkable man who gave his life to the service of his community. He occupied a number of functions. He was the deputy mayor of Rayside Balfour. He was a proud member of the Knights of Columbus, and he was also on the board of the Saint Joseph Parish.
Ron was politically active, serving on many boards, including the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, Sudbury's Regional Planning Board, and the Nickel District Conservation Authority. Ron Bradley was a founding member of the United Steelworkers Local 6500 and ended his mining career as a shift boss at Inco. He will be remembered across the riding for his selfless service and devotion to family and community. On behalf of all constituents, I extend heartfelt condolences to his family and friends.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, recently I was at the commemorative plaque at the Saint-Charles de Limoilou Church. This monument was erected in the memory of our soldiers who fell during the First World War. These were men from our streets and our families and schools. They left Limoilou to defend freedom thousands of kilometers away. Their courage and duty, their faith in a better future remain a source of inspiration. This tribute is engraved in bronze and in our hearts, which reminds us that behind every name there is a story, a dream cut short, and a family marked forever. As we contemplate this monument, we aren't just remembering, we are renewing the living link between the past and the present. Let us always, generation after generation, pass on their stories and create a world worthy of their sacrifice.
L'honorable député de Mégantic-l'Érable.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, it is with great pride that I rise for the 110th anniversary of the Plessisville Female Farmers Circle. On November 26, 1915, Madame Georges-Élie Desrosiers and some other women in the village created the first female farmers circle of Quebec. For more than a century, these extraordinary women have been passing on traditional textile arts such as weaving, knitting, crochet, quilting, lace making, and other crafts that are part of our heritage. If it weren't for people like these, we wouldn't have all of these important parts of our past. And with almost 120 members still active today, the Plessisville Female Farmers Circle still remains an important pillar of our community. So I would say to all of the members, thank you for your creativity, thank you for your hard work, and thank you for what you've contributed to Quebec heritage.
Member for Hamilton Mountain.
I'd like to reflect on last week's ceremonies of remembrance. November 11th is always special at the Royal Canadian Legion on Hamilton Mountain, in part because of the valiant leadership of Jean Tomlinson, but particularly because of the Reverend's Chisholm. Reverend Dr. Francis Chisholm, a World War II vet, Padre since 1964, still captivating at 99 years old. And the Reverend Chisholm the Jr., his daughter, another inspiring leader. Also last week was the 75th anniversary of the Korean War, an event of course hosted by Hamilton Mountain's Hu Jung Jones, the most ardent advocate for the 1950s conflict we have in this country. That conflict saw 26,000 Canadians go to war, and 516 of them didn't come home.
Man, what is with the House today?
6,000 Canadians go to war, and 516 of them didn't come home. Speaker, because of the champions in our community, we will never forget.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
8 months ago, on the steps of Rideau Hall, this Prime Minister pledged to focus on what matters to Canadians, affordability, and ultimately he will be judged not by his promises, but by the prices Canadians face every single day. Yet under his watch, life has only become more expensive. Inflation is still running at 3.4%, and food prices have risen nearly 40% faster here than in that of the United States. Ironically, this Prime Minister can't even fault Justin Trudeau for today's mess because he was the principal advisor for that government as well. The budget was his chance to finally deliver relief. Instead of responsible fiscal planning, we have creative accounting that piles on staggering intergenerational debt with no credible path to balance. Mr. Speaker, this budget was built on hubris, not humility, and Conservatives will continue to fight every step of the way to continue to build confidence and bring forward policies that will deliver a future that Canadians can actually.
L'honorable député de Rimouski,
The Honourable Member for Rimouski, La Matapédia. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to pay tribute to the exceptional career of Quebec's Chief Scientific Officer, Monsieur Rémy Quirion, who will be retiring next spring. He was appointed in 2011, and he was the first person to hold this position. He created the general guidelines that created his credibility both in Quebec and abroad. He brought people together, and he created long-lasting links between research, education, innovation, and public policy. Ministers and governments changed, but he was always faithful to his fundamental principles, which was that we should make decisions based on data, science, and the search for truth. We hope that he will have a wonderful retirement, and we hope that his legacy will inspire future generations, and we also hope that our public policy will remain anchored in the values that he cares about, curiosity and scientific rigor. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois, thank you so much, Rémy Quirion.
L'honorable député de Québec Centre.
The Honourable Member for Quebec Centre. Mr. Speaker, today I would like to thank Crac Bitume, an urban ecology collective, which has been working to support people in Quebec City for 14 years in creating a more eco-responsible type of life. This organization carries out collective and urban gardening initiatives. It also trains people in eco-citizenship, and it has a community composting network with 34 sites and 18, in fact, in the beautiful riding of Quebec Centre. And I would also like to mention the many volunteers who work hard to support Crac Bitume. I'd like to thank this organization and all of its partners. I'd like to thank them for their leadership. The organization is something that we are all proud of in my riding.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are facing another costly Liberal budget that will keep cost of essentials like food and fuel high and eat away at the hard-earned savings of the people of Red Deer. Seniors on fixed income tell me they can barely eat, and young people say it's impossible to get ahead and start a family. Canadians can't take more careless Liberal spending, while jobs are lost and the Prime Minister jet sets around the world with nothing to show for it. Finch credit rating says since the Liberal government blows through its fiscal anchors, federal finances run high, a risk of further deterioration. If the credit agency scoring the government wasn't bad enough, the non-partisan parliamentary budget officer says with Budget 2025, the government abandoned the previous fiscal anchor. To reduce the federal debt to GDP ratio over the medium term, noting that this metric is key for financial stability. No wonder this Prime Minister.
The Honourable Member for Whitby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to celebrate Leo Plu, Whitby's 2025 Peter Perry Award recipient, which is the highest distinction in our town, recognizing true dedication to community building. For over 40 years, Leo has created opportunities in the classroom, inspiring thousands of students and driving change in Ontario's high schools through e-learning. His vision reaches far beyond the classroom. Leo brought the Ability Centre to life, a national beacon for inclusive spaces, and helped secure Whitby's critical care hospital. Once complete, it will provide essential health care for families across Durham Region. He also supports children with complex needs as the chair of Grandview Kids and as a board member of Sloan's House. Leo shows leadership is not about titles, it's about changing lives. Congratulations, Leo. You make us all proud and you make Canada stronger.
Good job, Leo.
The Honourable Member for North Island, Powell River.
In Powell River, one of the local communities that I represent, 2 hydro dams have provided a clean, reliable, and cost-effective source of electricity for over 100 years. Electricity that powered the local pulp mill, created thousands of jobs, and quite literally built this amazing and beautiful city. That was until the mill fell into financial trouble and was forced to sell the dam as a distressed asset to guess who? Brookfield, a company that registers its subsidiaries in Bermuda and has avoided paying more than $6 billion in Canadian taxes. And now we find out they want to use this amazing asset not to create Canadian jobs, not to power Canadian homes, but to export all of the electricity to the United States with no benefit to the people of Powell River, BC, or Canada. But to export this power, they need a permit from this federal government, which is why today I am imploring them as the local elected representative that this application is denied and we get back to putting the interests of Canada and the Canadian people first, not foreign-owned corporations.
How do you go broke selling electricity?
The honourable member for Pierrefonds.
Mr. Speaker, in February 2023, this House voted unanimously to welcome and resettle 10,000 deeply vulnerable Uyghur. That vote was a historic moment for this Parliament and for the Uyghur people. According to the United Nations, the Uyghur people are still subject to grave and serious crimes against humanity. We must say this. We must acknowledge it. We must recognize it. Thankfully, a few deeply vulnerable Uyghur people have arrived in Canada. The refugees I have met are deeply grateful to Canada and Canadians. They have told me that for the first time, they know what safety and security is.
We got a baby in the house.
Some of those Uyghur refugees are here on the Hill today. We will be holding a reception, and I ask all parliamentarians to attend. To the Uyghur people listening, I ask you to remain steadfast and resilient. Continue speaking up and sharing what's happening to your people. To the MPs who have supported this just cause, thank you. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
This is called the House of Commons for a reason. It was created to serve the common people, not jet-setting elites. Yet this Prime Minister didn't get the memo. How else do you explain a leader who spends more time in the air than in this chamber? He even puts Justin Trudeau to shame. In 2022, the Prime Minister flew just over 127,000 kilometers in 10 months, roughly 3 times around the Earth. This Prime Minister, in just 8 months, 28 trips, 153,000 kilometers, enough to circle the globe nearly 4 times. That's almost an entire month away from Canadians. And what do we have to show for it? No softwood lumber.
Excuse me, you know, SO31s are not meant to be heckled.
Thank you.
So the honourable member from the top.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job,
This is
Speaker.
called the House of Commons for a reason. It was created to serve the common people, not jet-setting elites. Yet this Prime Minister didn't get the memo. How else do you explain a leader who spends more time in the air than in this chamber? He even puts Justin Trudeau to shame. In 2022, Prime Minister Trudeau flew over 127,000 kilometers in 10 months, roughly 3 times around the Earth. And this Prime Minister, in just 8 months, 28 trips, 153,000 kilometers, enough to circle the globe nearly 4 times. That's almost a whole month, Mr. Speaker, away from Canadians. And what do we have to show for it? No softwood lumber deal, no relief for steel, auto, or aluminum, no progress on Chinese tariffs for canola or our seafood harvester. Even India slapped new duties on us, but nothing but photo ops, fancy meetings, and hollow letters of intent. Every time it's wheels up, Canadians are left with higher costs and no results. Mr. Speaker, this is the House of Commons, where leaders should be accountable. Canadians deserve a Prime Minister that delivers, not just simply racks up the air miles.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Etobicoke Centre.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to commemorate the 92nd anniversary of the famine genocide in Ukraine known as the Holodomor, when Joseph Stalin closed Ukraine's borders and confiscated all food to destroy a Ukrainian population opposed to his rule. 19 people per minute, 1,200 per hour, and 28,000 per day were dying of famine at the height of the Holodomor. The world was silent, and millions died as a result. My grandmother Olena was a survivor of the Holodomor, and she once told me she hoped that the victims of the Holodomor would not only be remembered, but that they would be honored. Honoring them, she said, meant not just remembering them or commemorating, but taking the steps to ensure that a crime like this never happens again. Right now, in Russian-occupied Ukraine, it is happening again. Russia is killing civilians, Russia is deporting children, and much more. The only way to stop this is for the world to provide Ukraine with the support it needs so that it can liberate all of its people, so that it can decisively win the war. If we do this, then we will truly do what my grandmother would have asked if she were here today. We will remember the victims, we will commemorate the victims, and we will honor them. Вічна їм пам'ять. Слава Україні!
Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians are paying the price for this Prime Minister. Grocery and housing costs have ballooned. But this Prime Minister is making things even worse with his budget, which doubled Justin Trudeau's deficit. This is the highest deficit in Canadian history outside of the COVID pandemic. The deficit is $16 billion higher than what he promised during the election. And for what? To finance a bureaucracy that grew by 80% since the Liberals took office 10 years ago. Now, the government House Leader says that this will have minimal impact on democracy. Why do Canadians have to pay for all this? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Clearly, the Leader of the Opposition did not read the budget. Had he read the budget, he would see that currently we are bringing down operating costs, government operating costs. If he hasn't read the budget, that would explain why he voted against it. Or maybe he's just operating in bad faith. He's against jobs we're trying to create from coast to coast to coast. We're trying to invest in defense. He's against it. He's against us investing more in health. He's against investments all throughout the country in mining projects, electricity projects, energy projects. So basically, what it comes down to is that he's against growth, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister is once again playing his games. He is going on yet another trip. We want some results for his 20 international trips. He has covered 150,000 kilometers in his travels. That's the equivalent of circling the globe 4 times. What have all these meetings led to? American tariffs have increased. Indian tariffs have increased on our peas. China has increased tariffs on our farmers and fish harvesters. It would be better for our economy if the Prime Minister were to hide under a rock rather than to continue his meetings. Can the Minister tell us one tariff the Prime Minister has managed to have reduced? Mr. Speaker, the only person hiding under a rock right now is the Leader of the Opposition when he has to face his caucus. So that's one thing. Next, the Leader of the Opposition, what he wants is for the Canadian economy to remain dependent on the American economy. I think that's his strategy. He might not be saying that out loud to Canadians, but here on this side of the House, our strategy is to diversify our markets. We are trying to create jobs. So that's why the Prime Minister is traveling to countries like Europe, Asia, the UAE, the Gulf states, and it's all leading to good news.
Canadians are paying the price for this Prime Minister through record high grocery and housing cost inflation, but he wants them to pay even more. He's doubled Justin Trudeau's deficit, the biggest deficit in Canadian history outside of COVID, $16 billion bigger than he promised, shattering his other promise to reduce the debt to GDP ratio. And the bureaucracy is taking the lion's share, 80% more costly when these Liberals took office. The Liberal House Leader said just yesterday there will only be minimal reductions in the bureaucracy. Why must starving Canadians pay to feed this bureaucracy rather than feeding their families?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, you know what helps families is good-paying jobs. And that's why we have had such a tremendous response to this budget, including from the building trades unions, Mr. Speaker, who said that they're grateful to all parliamentarians who supported the federal budget and acted in the best interests of Canadians. So I guess that doesn't include the Conservatives who voted against those very Canadians they say they stand up for.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister is beginning yet another costly photo op tour. It's time to start asking for the results of the more than 20 international trips, the 150,000 kilometers, enough to circle the globe 4 times. It would be great if he were actually getting something done. But he met with the Americans. They doubled tariffs on our products. He met with the Chinese. They hit us with new tariffs on our farmers and fish harvesters. He met with the Indians. They've hit us with new tariffs on Canadian peas. The British are still blocking our beef. Can the Prime Minister give us even one example of a tariff that his international meetings have succeeded in reducing?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
The opposition has been in this House for more than 20 years with not much to show. Here's what we've accomplished in the last few months in trade. We've signed new trade deals with Ecuador, with Indonesia. We advanced trade discussions with ASEAN, Philippines, Thailand, wrapping up
Again, it was a bit too noisy. Could the honourable minister continue, please?
We've signed new trade deals with Ecuador, Indonesia. We're advancing trade negotiations with ASEAN, Philippines, Thailand, wrapping up a FIFA with the UAE. We have legislation before this House to expand our trade ties with the UK. Together, these countries represent 750 million potential consumers. While the Prime Minister is opening doors for workers and businesses, the other side is focused on shutting them shut. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
All that adds up to not a single tariff reduced in the Prime Minister's 8 months of traveling the globe. And now let's move on to his costly agenda on pipelines. In June of 2014, the Conservative government approved a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. November 29, 2016, this Liberal government cancelled that pipeline, ordering the Energy Board to dismiss it. March 27, 2021, this current Liberal Prime Minister said that he supported cancelling the pipeline. Will the Prime Minister admit that he was wrong, that his Liberal government was wrong, and the Conservatives were right? We need a pipe to the Pacific now.
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Premier have publicly stated they're having productive discussions on advancing an MOU between Canada and Alberta. They have each stated those discussions are premised on building a pathways decarbonization project, strengthening the industrial carbon price, and receiving support from affected First Nations and jurisdictions. When the Prime Minister and the Premier are ready to make an announcement, they will to all Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, we're hoping the Prime Minister will announce that he was wrong and that the Liberal government was wrong to kill the Northern Gateway pipeline that had been approved back in 2014. 9 years have since been lost after the Liberal government blocked it. However, they also put in a ban on shipping Canadian energy off the northwest coast of BC. So if there's a pipeline, while the Liberal ban remains in place, it would have to be a pipeline to nowhere. So will the Prime Minister admit that the Liberal government was wrong to ban Canadian energy shipping and scrap the ban so that we can pipe our product over to Asia?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in those long, barren Harper years where this member was a minister, the only pipeline that got built was the pipeline full of hot air that led to nothing, not a single energy exporting tidewater piece of energy infrastructure was ever constructed under a Conservative government. We've built one. You just heard the minister talking about a process on another. Mr. Speaker, you want to vote for energy security, you want to vote for energy exports, you want to vote for major projects and opportunity in this country, you should cast a Liberal vote.
The Honourable Member for. I thought that our honourable colleagues wanted to finish on time today. I don't know whether that will be possible. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Heritage yesterday announced $500 million per year for agriculture in the budget, but he could have announced $1.5 billion.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. From the top, please. In the budget, the Minister of Heritage announced $500 million a year. Mr. Speaker, can you get them under control? He could have announced $1.5 billion for taxpayers had he not cancelled the tax on web giants. Multinationals would have paid that. They don't pay taxes in Canada, and now Canadians and Quebecers are paying that, and they're losing $500 million. Am I supposed to congratulate him on that? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Mr. Speaker, I would like to correct the Bloc Québécois leader's facts. We did not announce $500 million for arts and culture. In fact, We invested $770 million for arts and culture, which is the most ever in Canadian history, but the Bloc Québécois voted against that. There's $6 million for the Arts Council per year. The Bloc voted against that. $150 million for Telefilm Canada. The Bloc Québécois voted against it. $26 million for the National Film Board. That's the biggest investment in the National Film Board in Canadian history. The Bloc Québécois voted against that. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. The Minister lost $1.5 billion that could have gone to arts and culture. Now, here's a question for my colleague about the lack of funding for private radio and television. The minister said that he's giving $150 million to Radio-Canada and CBC. I was a CBC commentator, a Radio-Canada commentator in the past, and I have the utmost respect for everyone who works at CBC Radio-Canada, but am I supposed to congratulate him on totally scrapping any support for private TV and radio? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc Québécois leader was president and CEO of ADISC. In this budget, there's there's significant funding over the next 4 years, and there's $38 million a year for local media in this budget. The Bloc Québécois voted against that. Millions of dollars are going to Québécois through this budget. The Bloc Québécois voted against that. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc Québécois voting against all that, well, it's outrageous. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Heritage was, in the past, president of Équiterre. The minister doesn't seem to understand how major this crisis is, because this is about independence and the French language. $150 million to Radio-Canada is not enough. Private TV and radio stations are essential. These outlets feel that the government does not care about them and has totally abandoned them. Is the government purposely trying to put an end to private media? And should Quebecers congratulate the government for this? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I encourage the Bloc Québécois leader to read the Radio-Canada annual report and strategic plans. It was just published, and it's written clearly that Radio-Canada CBC will invest in creating new local stations throughout Canada, including in Quebec. We're investing $150 million in CBC Radio-Canada. The Bloc Québécois voted against that. It's the biggest ever investment in Quebec's culture. The Bloc Québécois' stance on this is outrageous. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Aquiau-Enrac. Mr. Speaker, the new Prime Minister's budget, this Liberal budget, is a credit card budget. The deficit is $80 billion. That's $16 billion more than he promised during the election. Mr. Speaker, we don't need an Oxford degree, a doctorate, to know that a deficit is a bill that we will pass on to our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. What's more, the rating agency Fitch has issued a warning. They say federal finances are at a high risk of further deterioration. When will this government wake up and take real positive action to responsibly handle the situation?
Hear, hear. Well said.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for Nature. Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised to hear my colleague rail against our budget. Our budget, I'd like to address it from my perspective as a woman. Across the way, when they talk about women, they talk about women as victims. They're victims in their personal lives, victims of violence. They also refer to women as victims who lack access to certain things. Well, in my view, this budget will help women regain their buying power. They'll be able to buy groceries, for instance. They will have help getting good jobs through our economic diversification. We are supporting women in all kinds of ways through this budget. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Aquiau-Enrac.
The hell was that about?
Mr. Speaker, get this. This Prime Minister's spending is even more excessive than Justin Trudeau's. We really need to fix this issue. Somebody said on March 11th, 2015, balancing the budget is a way to ensure our state's credibility and financial stability. Do you know who said that in 2015? The current parliamentary secretary for finance, Mr. Speaker, because he balanced budgets in Quebec. And as a Quebecer, I'm very happy that he did that. But currently, I'm wondering, why didn't he advise the Prime Minister that he should balance our books?
He's not going to stand up
The
and answer
Honourable
the question?
Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Oh, here we go, Gainey.
Monsieur le Président, le budget.
Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 meets the moment. We're investing to help build strong families and communities throughout Canada. These investments will create jobs and careers for young people and will also protect support measures to help families grow and be stronger. We have a plan to build, strengthen, and enhance Canada, and it's really disgraceful that the members across the way voted against our budget.
Speaker, this Prime Minister's costly credit card budget piles today's reckless spending onto tomorrow's taxpayers. Credit card agency Fitch says that the Liberals repeatedly blow past their own fiscal anchors, putting our credit rating at risk. Even the Parliamentary Budget Officer is sounding the alarm on this financial mess. How many more warnings will it take for this Prime Minister to rein in his out-of-control spending?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, trusting advice from the Conservative leader on this budget is like trusting a weatherman's forecast who lives inside a snow globe. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are standing with Canada. People from Carleton knew it, Progressive Conservatives leaders knew it, and Canadians knew it. It's time for the Conservatives to get real about this budget, support us building the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Gateway.
Mr. Speaker, the fact is, Canadians are putting nearly 50% more of their expenses on credit cards than they did in 2015. Monthly food bank visits have smashed all-time records with 2 million Canadians a month visiting the food bank. Families that used to once donate to the food bank are now standing in line waiting for help. This Liberal government has made everything more expensive. When will this Prime Minister stop his out-of-control spending, which makes everything more unaffordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, last election, NDP supporters, Green supporters, and so many Progressive Conservatives stood with us to form a new party, to form a bold vision for this country. Mr. Speaker, we went from coast to coast to coast. We listened to Canadians. We came forth with a transformational budget that will build our economy in the strongest economy in the G7. It's time for the members opposite to stop the rhetoric, stop the slogan, stand with us, build a strong economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's costly credit card budget loads today's reckless spending onto tomorrow's taxpayers. After 10 years of these tired Liberals, Canadians are putting nearly 50% more of their expenses on their credit cards since 2015. The parliamentary fiscal watchdog is ringing the alarm bells, saying, with Budget 2025, the government abandoned the previous fiscal anchor to reduce the federal debt-to-GDP ratio over the medium term. No wonder the costly Prime Minister wants to fire him. How many more fiscal watchdog reports is it going to take, Mr. Speaker, for this Prime Minister to rein in his costly credit card spending?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, let me talk about the people in my riding, like seniors who are benefiting from this budget. When I talk to them, I hear about dental care and them saving $800 a year. I hear about our new ROASTS program for seniors, supporting projects that affect seniors' quality of life. I hear about $5 billion going to healthcare and hospital infrastructure in this budget. And most importantly, I hear about a Health Heroes tax credit benefiting PSWs who are the heart and soul of care in our communities. But don't take my word for it, Mr. Speaker. SEIU Healthcare President Tyler Downey says we're putting more money directly into the pockets of PSWs will support retention and strengthen care.
The Honourable Member for Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, in one costly budget, these high-spending liberals have managed to max out our great-grandchildren's credit cards. The Parliamentary Fiscal Watchdog isn't the only one ringing alarm bells, Mr. Speaker. Fitch Credit Ratings, the agency that gives the government its credit score, says that since the Liberal government frequently blows through its fiscal anchors, federal finances run a high risk of further deterioration. Fitch is concerned The parliamentary fiscal watchdog is sounding the alarm. How many more fiscal watchdog reports is it going to take for this Prime Minister to rein in his costly credit card spending?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me keep going. Let me talk about the youth in Toronto St. Paul's, because this side of the House knows that our economic future depends on them. That's why we're saying whatever your ambition is to Canada's youth, whether it's to shape the future of AI, whether it's to join the Climate Corps, whether it's to make a great Canadian film, whether it's to study higher education or work in the skilled trades, this budget is helping young Canadians from their first summer job all the way through that career-starting, lifelong career that they're going to have. Don't take my word for it. Let's talk about the YMCA, who says that paid skilled training in this budget is going to strengthen resilience in our...
L'honorable député de Chicoutimi.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is treating this budget like a credit card with no limits. In fact, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has confirmed that the government has abandoned its fiscal anchor. In my riding in Saguenay, there is a factory that's closing. Multiple families are losing their livelihood. They don't know how they will pay bills. Meanwhile, our Prime Minister is spending recklessly. Why does the Prime Minister continue to endanger our public finances? The Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We should be talking about Indigenous families living in the regions in Quebec. Families in my riding, for instance. They want this budget, a budget which enhances and protects programs for vulnerable people, especially vulnerable people in their communities. Meanwhile, the opposition voted against that, Mr. Speaker. Now, all this business about spending on a credit card, isn't it really just defending and protecting Canada? The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, loyalty is a virtue. I am loyal to Quebec and to Quebec's sovereignty. The Minister of Economic Development seems to be loyal to the Liberal Party of Quebec and to Pablo Rodriguez, whose loyalty to financing has been exposed today. But his loyalty to federal Liberals makes him say some bizarre things. Can he explain to us how a hypothetical possible Quebec currency would put us in Donald Trump's hands? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Listen, I'm happy that the member is speaking to the Parti Québécois' new idea for a Quebec currency, because Quebecers are very worried. They can't believe people are talking about losing our purchasing power, about a third referendum, about a Quebec currency at a time when the American president is threatening Canada's sovereignty. It's shocking that some are proposing weakening Quebec and handing the reins over to Pierre Saint-Paul Plamondon so he can make a currency. It makes no sense, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. We can hear the ghosts of Jean Chrétien and Jean Charest visiting us here at Parliament. It's clear that the stronger the country, the stronger its currency. So the member could, if she would like, do an internship with the member for Mirabel. But here's my question. According to her own logic, should Canada not give up its own currency and start using American currency? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, this is fictional politics, but fine, because it helps people in all party caucuses to understand what's going on within the Bloc Québécois caucus and the Parti Québécois caucus in Quebec. One thing is clear, we have 44 Quebec MPs. We will do our utmost to defend our economy. We will invest in jobs, and we will ensure that at the end of the day, Canada's sovereignty is even stronger, Mr. Speaker.
Every time the Prime Minister Minister flies out of this country for another glittering photo op, things get worse for Canadians. He went to China and came back with more tariffs on Canadian canola. He went to the U.S., came back with double the tariffs on cars and triple the tariffs on steel and aluminum. And now the two sides aren't even talking. And then he went to the U.K. and he still couldn't land a basic deal for our pork and beef farmers. Why is it that every time the Prime Minister boards a plane, Canadians get sacked with a bigger bill?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party should ask the question in reverse. Why is it when the Leader of the Opposition flies out of this city to far-flung places across our vast and grand land, his polling results go down every single time, and then he lands at a great Canadian airport, Mr. Speaker? The Deputy Leader should demand more of her leader, should demand bigger results of her leader. The Deputy Leader needs to step up, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
A lecture from a government that cannot close a deal on canola. They cannot close a deal on softwood lumber, on autos, on steel, on aluminum, on basically every export that is the backbone of the Canadian economy. The Prime Minister sold Canadians hope and he didn't deliver. And then he used that broken trust as a reason to collect more stamps in his own passport. He's jet setting on another taxpayer-funded vacation to Dubai, where jobs in Windsor and Oshawa are going south. Is the Prime Minister obsessed with foreign travel because he likes spending other people's money, or is it that he just can't face Canadians at home?
The Honourable Secretary of State to the Minister of Finance.
Forget Canada has a AAA credit rating. Inflation has been within the Bank of Canada target range for almost 2 years. Interest rates are down. Job numbers are exceeding expectations. And Budget 2025 makes generational investments that the head of the International Monetary Fund welcomes. These investments will pay dividends to Canadians over generations in the form of good-paying jobs, affordable homes, thriving and productive industries, resilient supply chains, infrastructure that connects our country and enables diverse trade. The only question is, why do the Conservatives not believe in Canada?
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
In just 8 months, this Prime Minister has flown the friendly skies nearly 70 times on 28 different trips and burned through enough jet fuel to fly the equivalent of 4 times around the Earth. Wow. And what does he have to show for all of his gallivanting around in a private jet? Just expensive photo ops, empty announcements, and no real results for Canadian workers. Not only have these trips failed to get the deals he promised, but tariffs and costs for Canadians seem to go higher each time he takes off. Why doesn't the Prime Minister stop his flights of fancy and start making life more affordable for Canadians here at home?
The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, instead of talking down the economy, why don't they join us and build this economy up? Look, let's see what we can agree on. Can we agree that we want to lower taxes for Canadians? This budget did it. They voted against it. Can we agree we want to support innovators, small business and entrepreneurs? This budget did it. They voted against it. But don't take my word for it. Just today, I was speaking with the Canadian manufacturers and exporters, and they represent 10,000 businesses. This budget makes meaningful steps to support manufacturers under pressure. Mr. Speaker, they should join us. Build Canada.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
Well, Mr. Speaker, while fancy art dealers and high-flying people like the Prime Minister are living their best life, here on the ground a record number of Canadians are using the food bank and struggling to heat their homes. They don't get to leave their troubles behind by jumping on a private jet. These swanky trips have done nothing for the tens of thousands of steel, auto and softwood lumber workers who have lost their jobs and the millions more who are living with uncertainty due to the Prime Minister's broken promises on tariffs. Why doesn't the Prime Minister spend less time on fancy travel and more time focusing on making life more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Unlike the members opposite, Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that we need to invest in ourselves, and that's exactly why they've supported this government and why they support this budget, Mr. Speaker. From building trades unions to the YMCA to Canada Food Banks to a variety of different stakeholders that have advocated for the programs and the approach in this budget. People are happy, Mr. Speaker. They're happy with a government that has ambition on their behalf. And, Mr. Speaker, we're not going going to stop because we are creating the jobs of today and tomorrow.
Member for Provencher.
Mr. Speaker, all this Prime Minister has achieved is higher air miles, higher altitudes, and higher tariffs. With 28 trips and enough kilometers traveled to circle the Earth 4 times, Canadians expect more than just photo ops on hollow letters of intent. When he traveled to China, Canadians got higher tariffs. When he traveled to India, Canadians got higher tariffs. When he traveled to Washington, Canadians got higher tariffs. Why are Canadian families paying the price with higher tariffs for this Prime Minister to jet around the globe for photo ops and deals for Brookfield?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This member is from Manitoba, and we need to recognize that Manitobans want to vote for this budget.
That's right. That's right.
They want the Port of Churchill. They want us to build and protect and empower the North. This is the first time that we're seeing the type of investments that we've seen in generations. So I encourage this member to get on board and vote for us to ensure that we have the National School Food Program to make it permanent. So thank you for the question.
The Honourable Member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, this week this House reiterated its confidence in our government and in Budget 2025. Indeed, Budget 2025 is an expression of confidence in Canada. In the face of uncertainty, Canadians are going to build the future we want for ourselves. That includes our new Buy Canadian policy, which is strengthening our economy by prioritizing Canadian-made steel, aluminum, and softwood lumber, supporting local jobs, protecting industries impacted by international tariffs, and reinforcing our commitment to stable supply chains. Can the Secretary of State speak to the broad support of this Buy Canadian?
Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
I want to thank the member for their question. The Buy Canadian policy outlined in Budget 2025 will leverage every public dollar to strengthen Canada's economy and create jobs. Don't take my word for it. Ask the members for Chicoutimi, Jonquière, and Lac-Saint-Jean. They all joined our government in announcing and applauding this policy last week, only to vote against it a few days later. Canadians notice, Mr. Speaker. Well, that side of the House is putting partisan politics above results. We're building the strongest economy in the G7.
The Honourable Member for Levis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is behaving like a real tourist. In his first 8 months as Prime Minister, he's made 28 trips, enough kilometres to circle the globe 4 times in his private jet. Yet there are no deals, no concrete results, just good intentions and photo ops at the taxpayers' expense. Mr. Speaker, why is it that every time the Prime Minister gets on a plane to meet with foreign leaders, Canadians have to pay even higher tariffs? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect for my colleague, choosing between a PM that will visit our allies and trade partners to diversify our markets and the Leader of the Opposition that spends his time on obscure podcasts to criticize our institution, it's an obvious and simple choice, and that's the choice the Canadians made. We're focusing on market diversification to reduce our dependency on the Americans and support our economy, increase productivity, and build the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Levis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, this changed absolutely nothing for the tens of thousands of steel workers, auto workers, and lumber workers who have lost their jobs because of this Liberal government's tariff failures. Mr. Speaker, Canadian businesses are asking for a deal with the United States to ensure the predictability of their revenues. Why is it that every time the Prime Minister stops in a warm country, tariffs go up and Canadians pay? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Mr. Speaker, we've seen better from that colleague. Well, as you know, my colleague should spend more time with people in the automotive sector and in the forestry sector and more time with the people in the steel and aluminum sector, because what they're asking for us is to open up international markets and decrease our dependency on U.S. markets, like my Quebec colleague mentioned, because it is really important so we can export our aluminum and forestry products and steel to Europe and to Asia, and that's exactly what the Prime Minister is doing.
For Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Sometimes you're trying to choose between bills and feeding your kids. That's a direct quote from Thunder Bay mom Cassandra Shedden, who relies on formula to feed her infant child. She describes rummaging around her house, looking for things to sell just so she can put formula in her baby's bottle. Why won't the Prime Minister do something so that parents can afford to buy baby formula?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, nobody should have to feel the fear that Cassandra feels. But I will note what Cassandra also said. She said she could hardly wait till the Canada Child Benefit arrived on the 20th of each month because it helped her feed her baby as she lived on Ontario disability, Mr. Speaker. And that member voted against Canada Child Benefit. She voted against school food, Mr. Speaker. She voted against the very people she has the temerity to stand up and quote in this House.
Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Since 2017, inflation on baby formula is double what it is in the U.S. Double. We are overly reliant on imported infant formula, and we only have one plant in Canada, which means every single tax on transportation, every supply chain disruption, every single tariff threat hits Canadian families harder. This is due to a lack of any kind of action from any of these Liberals for the last 10 years. Will they finally make this a priority so that parents can afford to feed their babies formula?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Maybe the member didn't read the article where the Canada Research Chair, Ms. Leslie Frank, said that the Canada Child Benefit should be increased, which, by the way, it is every year, Mr. Speaker, because it's pegged to inflation, where the experts said that formula should be produced in Canada. In this budget, we have money for innovation in agriculture, Mr. Speaker. How does that member think that Canada will be able to do anything if she votes against Canadians' interests time and time again?
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
What's deeply wrong is the fact that parents are waiting every single day for those checks just so they can afford to put groceries on the table. What is deeply wrong is that mothers are begging strangers online for money just so they can afford to buy baby formula. What's deeply wrong is that parents are resorting to buying opened bottles and cases of formula, powdered formula, just so they can feed their kids. This is because of this government's lack of action. So will they actually do something other than just create more bureaucracy? We need action.
Here, here.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, members like that one with the fake outrage as their colleagues.
Shame on Patty. Come on. Unparliamentary.
The Honourable Minister.
Just the other day, the member from Bowmanville, Oshawa North, suggested that hungry children should go without because parents should be able to afford to feed their kids. Well, you know what, Mr. Speaker, I have a newsflash. Single mothers like I were in my day needed all the help we could get, and that's what we do for moms every single day in this House.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
This is from a minister who is completely out of touch with Canadians, who are struggling day in and day out to be able to afford the very basic necessities of life. Meanwhile, the members across the way heckle me while Canadians struggle and are going to the food bank in droves. That is because of this government's mismanagement, and they can do something about it. And one of the things that they can do about it is actually scrapping the fuel tax, which would bring down the cost of groceries. Why is this government hell-bent on keeping the fuel tax and making sure that Canadians cannot afford basic necessities?
The Honourable Minister.
The member opposite fails to acknowledge is that she voted against every measure that helps single mothers right now, every single day, whether it's fees reduced by early learning and childcare, whether it's access to dental care for children that don't have dental care benefits, whether it's fighting against school food, Mr. Speaker. These Conservatives stand up. They say they feel the pain of moms, especially single moms, but when push comes to shove, they vote against them time and again.
The Honourable Member for Lethbridge.
So what she is saying is that through socialist programs, Canadians can be provided for. That Canadians shouldn't be able to make ends meet on
Come on, from the top.
There's nothing unparliamentary about that word. The Honourable Member for Lethbridge, from the top.
Food prices in this country have risen by 40%, which is way higher than 40% faster than the United States of America, which goes to prove that it has a whole lot to do with this government and its socialist policies. Now, Stats Canada shows that beef is up 17%, chicken is up 6%, apples is up 4%, and baby formula is up 6%. The most stolen item in a grocery store because parents are desperate due to this government's mismanagement. So, folks are suffering. I hosted a town hall last week. Their faces, their stories came forward. These are more than stats, folks. What will this government do about it?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's why I'm so proud to be a Liberal, because Liberals believe in helping each other. We believe that when a single mom is having a tough time, we should be there for her. We believe that when a family's down on their luck, we should have an employment insurance program that helps people out when they lose their job. We believe that when people can't access dental care for sometimes up to 20 years and live in pain, we should do something about that as a country. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? That's what Canadians believe. It's why we're known for our universal health care system, Mr. Speaker, because we care about each other.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon University.
This Liberal government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, driving up the cost of everything. Year after year, food costs have gone up, and the Liberals want you to pay more for their food packaging taxes. The Liberal tax on food costs Canadians an additional $5.6 billion a year. Wow. Driving up costs for fresh produce by over 34%. Why is this Prime Minister keeping the food packaging tax and making everything more expensive for struggling Canadians?
Colleagues, all the member did was stand up. It's not, I mean, come on. The Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, for 10 long years, I've been telling the people of Saskatchewan that as a result of what the mismanagement under Stephen Harper, Mr. Speaker, this government spent the last 10 years cleaning up Harper's mess, Mr. Speaker, so we can go on a bold new journey, Mr. Speaker. $51 billion set aside to help Canada build their communities. That's an impressive amount of money, Mr. Speaker. The Saskatchewan MP should wake up, vote for the budget, and back up Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government is the most expensive in the Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, driving up the cost of everything. The Prime Minister told Canadians to judge him by the prices they see at the grocery stores. But now, the industrial carbon tax has caused food prices in Canada to rise nearly 40% faster than in the US. Why is the Prime Minister increasing the industrial carbon tax and making food more expensive? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, in Budget 2025, we are making generational investments to build Canada strong. Again, we've cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. This is making sure we put more money back into their pockets, and we're also supporting our young people. We've created new pathways to support them. This is 175,000 jobs for young people through the Canada Summer Jobs, the Student Work Placement Program. We are empowering youth to gain the skills that they need. Mr. Speaker, we're going to continue to build Canada strong and support our youth in this country.
Honourable Member for Richmond East, Steveston.
Mr. Speaker, last spring, my hometown of Richmond voted for a government that would develop clean, reliable electricity to power our economy. In British Columbia, the North Coast Transmission Line has just been referred to the Major Projects Office. It will twin key transmission corridors, reinforce BC's clean grid in the Northwest, and support industry while connecting communities. Can the Minister explain how this project will support BC jobs and lower emissions while helping Canada realize its potential as a critical mineral producer and clean energy superpower?
BC's already 100% renewable.
Mr. Speaker, the North Coast Transmission Line is exactly the kind of enabling infrastructure Canada needs to get to net zero, to become a clean energy superpower, and to diversify our exports. Once in operation, it is expected to support thousands of direct jobs and help avoid up to 3 million tons of carbon emissions every year. By unlocking our vast natural resources and powering new industries with low-carbon electricity, we're giving workers and communities what they want, Mr. Speaker.
It's not upsetting anything, it's just adding to a grid that's already
Mr.
100%
Speaker,
renewable.
yesterday Abbotsford residents woke to news of yet another shooting linked to extortion in our communities. Far too many families and businesses across the region have been affected. Under Liberal soft on crime policies, extortion has risen over 500% in BC alone. And in my community, 100 shootings linked to extortion. Why do the Liberals block our request for an emergency debate? And when will this Prime Minister finally get serious about extortion?
Hear, hear.
Thank you, Gordon, for the 10.
The Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, the Liberals didn't block any kind of debate. Mr. Speaker, you're well aware you held that ruling yesterday yourself. And the second thing, the best thing to stop extortions is deterrence, Mr. Speaker. If the criminals knew that they would be caught, they would not be involved in such crimes, Mr. Speaker. And one way to deter criminals is to make sure that we give police the tools that they need to be able to catch them. We have brought lawful access measures, Mr. Speaker, in C2 in this House, and guess who's blocking them? The Conservatives are, Mr. Speaker. They will not allow the police to have the tools they need to catch these criminals.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola.
Since these Liberals took power, extortion is up 330% in Canada. There have been 100 reported extortions already in Surrey, Abbotsford, and Delta. The Prime Minister recently visited British Columbia, and he said nothing about this pressing problem. So the question is this: why are these Liberals allowing extortions to run rampant, whether it be in Calgary, Windsor, Surrey, or Brampton? Why?
Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this House has before it measures contained in Bill C2 that would give the police long-requested abilities to prevent and to catch extortionists and criminals in our country. The Conservatives, and the Conservatives alone, stood in the way of those particular measures and demanded their removal from C2. That member needs to talk to his whip, talk to his leader, get out of the way of law enforcement, stop extortion in this country. That member needs to stand for law and order.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola.
Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words, Mr. Speaker. That minister needs to look in the mirror. That member, Mr. Speaker, voted against a Conservative bill to put extortionists in jail. That member voted for house arrest for people who do extortion with a firearm. That member voted to repeal mandatory jail time for extortion with a firearm. Talk about being out of touch. Talk about missing the boat on justice, Mr. Speaker. When will they get on board and tackle extortion across this country? When?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government is taking real action to stop those who commit extortion. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives, on the other hand, have failed to make sure that these measures, like lawful access, a measure that every single law enforcement agency, every single police association have been asking for. They've been asking the Conservative Party to step up and to ensure that Bill C-2 is passed with lawful access. I urge the member opposite, who is my critic, to step forward today and to ensure that lawful access becomes law.
The Honourable Member for Scarborough-Woburn.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians and the great people of Scarborough-Woburn voted for a government to build more homes, and they're looking to their new federal government to lead with real solutions. Could the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure update this House on what concrete steps this government's taking to accelerate the building of affordable homes here in Ontario? Excellent question.
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the member for Scarborough-Woburn for his question and all of his hard work. We are committed, Mr. Speaker, to delivering a massive increase in affordable housing, starting in the GTA and all across Canada. Just last week, we made generational investments across the country to create more than 3,000 homes across Canada for Canadians, and that includes over 1,500 homes, much-needed homes in Ontario. And those homes will give local families an opportunity to be more stable, have affordable places to live. It's time to build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, the $742 million gun grab has been a complete disaster from day one, wrapped in controversy with leaked audio revealing the public safety minister himself admitted that it won't work. The Cape Breton pilot program reportedly only had 22 firearms turned in. Now, the police chief overseeing the program, who is the brother-in-law of the Liberal member, is suddenly retiring. Will the Liberals finally admit the program is a waste of taxpayers' money, it's failed, and scrap it?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, apart from partisan politics, this member from my province of Newfoundland and Labrador voted against a budget that invests in Canada and invests in our province. She voted against families who receive 46,000 families who will see an increase in the Canada benefit. Families who rely on the food.
Excuse me. There is way too much loud heckling coming from that area. And we can't hear the minister, and sometimes we can't even hear members of the colleagues' own party. So would the Minister of Fisheries like to start from the top, please?
Mr. Speaker, instead of playing partisan politics, let's focus on Canadians. The member opposite from Newfoundland and Labrador voted against a budget that invests in Canada, invests in our province, in rural communities, roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, invests in families, the school nutrition program, $800 savings a year for a family with 2 children. The family benefit, 46,000 families rely on this, and there is an increase. Shame on that member.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, it's been said, don't tell me your values, show me your budget, and I'll tell you your values. The Liberal budget chose to slash public services and cut frontline jobs, but eliminate a tax on luxury yachts and private jets. To cover this blatant gift to the rich, the finance minister claimed the tax cost more to administer than it raised, but that's not true. The luxury tax brought in 20 times what it cost, raising hundreds of millions of dollars a year. What value should Canadians take from the Liberals' choice?
l'honorable ministre de
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Respect for my colleague, but I think he should call Lana Payne the head of Unifor, which represents the Bombardier workers in Montreal, because following the fact that we changed the tax regime on that particular aspect linked to jets, well, Bombardier announced 600 new jobs in Montreal and Quebec. So obviously, like the NDP, we're in favor of unionized jobs, we're in favor of creating jobs, and we'll fight for these ones.
Alors, ça termine la période des questions.
That's all the time there is for oral questions. I wish to inform the House that the volume of the earpieces will now be reset.
Je vais accorder quelques instants aux collègues.
Let me.
Okay. So we've got about an hour, just a little over an hour until committee. We've got the ethics committee, and they were in camera the last 2 times because, 3 times ago, 3 weeks ago, they summoned Brookfield, and then Brookfield denied their CEO coming and had other offers for other people at Brookfield, but that wasn't who got summoned, and it was not just summoned in the committee, but it was passed in the House of Commons, so that means they literally have to show up. But they've denied it, and they've spent the last 2 committees in camera talking with the House Counsel to see what they can do in terms of summoning them, or if they don't live in Canada, should we extradite them? So we need to get an update on this matter, and they're going to be talking about it today in the Ethics Committee. And obviously, they're still reviewing the Conflict of Interest Act, so they've got the Privy Council there as well, and the Privy Council is going to have to explain as to are we getting these people in here? They've been told to come, but they don't want to come. Are we going to have some call to the bar again, like we did with Christian Firth? I don't think it'll get to that extent, but we got to find out. So it's a good topic as well. The whole conflict of interest study in the ethics committee has been quite interesting. So we'll tune into that. Like I say, about an hour and 10 minutes. I've put the link in chat a few times. There it is again. And thank you so much for Raven and Gordon for gifting 10 each. Really appreciate you guys. Wee Cookie as well for the super chat. And if you just want to tune in for question period, we'll be live again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for question period. Carney won't be there because he'll be in the United Arab Emirates. He arrives at like 11:50 or something tonight, so he'll probably just sleep. And then I don't know what meetings he has planned tomorrow, but he's got some stuff tomorrow, so he won't be there in question period at all this week. Yeah, and then also we've got some committees tomorrow as well. We'll discuss that in the next stream because I got to check to see what's on the table for tomorrow, but there's a lot of committees tomorrow, so we'll probably be live early in the morning, and I will make sure we're there for that. We've got ethics again in the afternoon tomorrow. So yeah, there'll be a lot tomorrow. Anyway, I will see you guys shortly. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you guys in an hour. Cheers, guys. Oh, before we go, Wanda, thank you so much for the super chat. Why don't conservatives answer why they didn't vote on something? I know it's because the Liberals have clauses, but why not say the reason? They usually do. They usually do specify, more so in committees, because question period, you don't have a lot of time to actually go clause by clause, but that does happen in committees. They will literally go through clause by clause, debate it, and you can see the rebuttals on what actual things they don't like. So anyway, I will see you guys shortly. See you guys in an hour.